How you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Good. How you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you, thank
Uh,
you. You're in Eastern time, right?
yeah. hmm
Yeah, so it's a little bit later in your day.
Yeah.
I'm just getting started
Where you at?
in Idaho.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah. How's your day going so far?
Not too bad. Just glad the weekend's over with.
Yeah. You're glad the weekend's over with? That's not usually what people say.
Every day is a weekend for me. So
Well, that's nice then.
my weekday weekends are better because everybody's working and yeah, the more obnoxious people are at their jobs.
Right. So you don't have to be around as many people. That makes sense. Totally makes
Yeah,
sense.
they all shit funnel out on a Friday.
So the album's been out for a little over a week now. I'm sure it's something you guys have been working on for a while. How has the response been, and how does it feel finally having it out there for everybody to hear?
I'm just glad to get it out of my hair. Honestly, I'm just so glad. I've been sitting on it for a year.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's like I just wanted people to hear it. And it's like leaking a song here and dropping a video here, and it's like it's like it's felt like a really bad trip to the dentist. It's really been dragged out. I felt like a woman going through a 24-month pregnancy.
My gosh, those are brutal things. Uh,
Horrible. It's like hurry up and get out there. God, let everybody hear it. But yeah, everybody's the response has been great. I mean, yeah, it's been fantastic. I didn't We knew it was good. I mean, we didn't know. I mean, I had a feeling, I mean, that's why we kind of went about things the way we did. So getting the record recorded first and then, approaching a label with it.
yeah, yeah, smart to do it that way because that also gives you that kind of creative freedom in that room to be able to do what you want to do instead of being at the mercy of what they're needing or
Yeah.
expecting or
Like, I
wanting.
guess it's just a lot easier to create when you're thinking about, what you're going to eat for dinner instead of what the record company's going to serve you for dinner.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. So do
Uh,
you pay attention to people's responses like through like YouTube, social media, all those types of things?
Um, I might the first day or so I might look to see how the reception is and that, but after that I really don't care about your opinion. I'm not much of an opinion based person. I mean, we all have them. I have opinions. I mean, I get attacked for my opinion, so I just try to, keep my opinions to myself. But we live in an age of opinionated people that shouldn't have a voice in the world, and they do now through social media. So yeah, I really, you know what? When I record records, we're giving them away for free. So to sit there and give me your opinion about how the steak was cooked after I gave it to you for free, I really don't care to hear about it. So I'm glad everybody likes it and that, and I have my haters. We all have haters and that. People hate on it and that, whatever. But the majority has been, yeah, everybody loves it, and yeah, it's been great. It's nice for a change to, I mean, so they're going to brutalize you over something. If it ain't the lyrics, it's going to be the artwork, or it's going to be the sound of the snare drum or something. So I've learned just to not give a shit. It's
Right.
easier that way.
For sure, for sure. And I would assume that Deicide fans in general are probably really enjoying it. It's a very technical, heavy album. I mean, obviously all of them are heavy. That's what you guys are. But there's a lot of technicality to it. So my assumption is that Deicide fans in general are probably very, very pleased with it.
I think that well, I mean, like I say, technical, I guess, determines on the level of experience at your instrument, and composing and that. But yeah, everybody is technical wise. I don't know about technical. I shoot for simplicity, and sometimes simple things sound intricate
Yeah.
and regard. But um, you know, for me, I mean, difficulty level 3. But does it sound? The record sounds. I mean, it's all about the way we recorded it, and it was with, when you ain't got a record label no more, and you get, it's like you're really just out there floating, and it's like let's just make a record that's heavy that we like, you know, and not really. I can't put too much thought into what anybody, you know, and they're anticipating or their wishes or wants or whatever. So I just go with what we thought was heavy, you know. So that's, and we just got lucky. Every record you're rolling the dice, you know. Some of them are good, some of them are great, some of them are mediocre. I mean, so it's just it's just another chapter of my life. You know, this is over the last 6 years, you know, so you just write it all down.
So does it feel like that for you? Like once an album is out there, that it is like closing a chapter and then you have to reopen a new chapter? Is that what each album like feels like for you?
In order to move on to the next record, you got to put the other one behind you. So
Oh,
you kind of like, I get to this state, like when the record's done and we're recorded, you know, when we're done with it, you listen to it a lot, you know, because I beat that into my brains. But there comes a time where it's like, I don't want to hear this anymore, you know.
I'm
And that's
sure.
when it's time to write a new record, you know, when you're like, I can't listen to this anymore, I'm going to write another one. So, and that's where you're really, I mean, after you've listened to it about 10,000 times, you're really, you know, I mean, you're just ready to move on.
Right.
But this
Yeah.
record, for some reason, I can still listen to this one. It's enjoyable. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, there's no nails down the chalkboard moments, you know, for me.
Good. That's good. That says a lot after listening to it that much. And I know obviously musicians are their own worst critics. And so there's always going to be those parts that you're like, gosh, I wish I would have done something else. So that's really a good thing to be able to have that feeling.
This time around doing vocals, I was able to go in one day, every day. I would go in and do one song a day. So this way I wasn't in there trying to strain myself getting 4 or 5 songs done in a day. And it shows too, because I have all, you know, it's like it doesn't diminish any of my ferociousness and my highs. It's really easy to operate like that. So, you know, I go back in the next day, my voice is warmed up and I can just start laying, because usually when you go in and you record like that first 2 songs and then you come back to it, you're like, wow, man, my voice sounds completely different now that I'm warmed up. So it was I had a lot, you know, and then I was allowed to experiment a lot because, you know, we're not on the clock for any label paying for anything. We are just doing it. So I was able to just go crazy and do whatever I wanted to do. And it was fun. I enjoyed myself this time around.
Good. That's important. That's what it should be all about. You mentioned when you feel when your voice is warmed up or your vocals are warmed up, obviously you can tell the difference. Do you have a certain like regimen that you do to warm up your vocals before shows or before recording?
You really want to hear it? I'll tell
Yeah.
it to you. I'll give you my secret. I know my voice is ready when I can do my sling blade impersonation. So when I can hit my sling blade impersonation, I can do Carl. When I hit Carl, yeah, when I get it where it needs to be, that's when I know I'm warmed up. So I sit in the back, you hear me talking in my Carl voice. Red fried taters, mustard. Yeah. So when I start doing that, I'm warm.
So Billy Bob Thornton is probably always ready to
Hey
do
man, I do
Deicide
a really
songs.
good one too. And then I do my Lemmy, and my Lemmy warms me up a little bit too. So I do a couple voices in the back, character voices, and those stretch out my lower vocal cords.
That's so interesting. I've never heard that before, but it's a really smart way of doing it. I mean, you got two different yeah, vocal sounds with those, so it makes sense.
Well, Lemmy, you get the raspiness that warms up the throat for the raspiness of it, and then the Carl voice, that's the mid. That's where you get your mid voice. That's where that comes from. So I just sit in the back, do that. A couple high screams here and there just to get that vocal cord, you know, warmed back up, and yeah, that's about it.
What are the
A lot
rest
of
of
weed,
the band members doing during this time?
lot of vaping of weed and that, you know, those kind of things. I don't slow down on that stuff. That's what I wrote all this shit on. So I just warm up with a little bit of vape. Me and Steve sit in the back, vape up a little bit, do our thing. I do Carl, make everybody laugh.
So do you ever get, I mean, maybe that helps a lot with the creativity then. Do you ever get writer's block either lyrically or musically? You guys have been doing this for a long time.
I just got to, you know, if here's the thing about, right, it's like Willie Nelson said it. A lot of, famous people have said it. I mean, you got to have some time, some life living time between records, because that's what, how I mean, you're right. That's your best stuff, is when you live a little bit and let some things occur between records, and that, to go in there and just try to, like, to think up needless shit, it's you'll get a writer's block. I can't. Everybody asks me why and how I'm able to, and I can't sing about anything else than what I just let it come out of me. And if I try to force it out of me, I'll get a writer's block. And if I just let that voice, and we all have that voice, your conscience, your gut feeling, whatever. I just let that talk. So when I listen to the music, I'll just listen to that little voice in my head, what it's saying. I write it down, and then I'm able to, come back over it, make my changes. But I just really just write from where it comes from. I can't think about it. Like Chuck Berry writes songs about high school and chicks and cars and all that crap, and Bruce Springsteen sings songs about America. I just sing what I sing, and I can't. And people are like, whoa, it's like, sorry, man, that's where I came from. My mother was a Sunday school teacher. I grew up in, around, different religions, the Catholics and the Lutherans and all that. And, I was subjected to all that shit as a kid. And I don't know why, but it's just where it comes from. I don't know, what it all means either. I really
Right.
don't know what any of it means. I don't try to figure it out, because then maybe it won't come to me anymore. So I just
Yeah.
leave it alone, and just
Yeah.
not put too much thought into those things. And kind of like, like an artist or a painter paints paintings, and he has to come up with something different. He lets it come out of himself and his soul. And like a
Right.
writer writes, novels, and like Stephen King writes scary movies, and that's just what I do. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has a reason for being here, and I guess this is just mine.
Just the naturalness of it. So when you did start with Deicide, how did your parents react?
How did my parents?
Yeah.
Um, my parents growing up, I wanted to be what I am, ever since I was a little kid, ever since I got in, started getting into music and that. And my parents were they busted balls a lot about, you with yourself, or you're going to be a bum like your cousin Jimmy. I heard that, my whole life growing up. And I just kept maintaining my direction on what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be. And I used all their negative shit to make me succeed.
Yeah.
So there was no greater feeling than to shove that first album in their faces. And it wasn't, I think, until like the third record where they finally, like, got, it's like, I'm going to Europe, I'm traveling all over the world. And I don't think they really, I think it was like, my mother worked for McDonald's Corporation, and I think it was one of the employees, found out, that I was her kid or whatever. And that was when it's like, hey, you got a T-shirt for the? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah. So it's like, yeah, they used, like I say, they would take advantage, the name drop and shit, for a free drink or a free, whatever.
Well, it sounds like it eventually turned into some form of support then.
My parents never, my parents never seen me perform live ever. So
Oh,
they may have
wow.
seen it on a videotape, but I don't think they. Like I say, it wasn't for them.
Yeah. Yeah, for
My
sure.
father was more of a Gordon Lightfoot kind of a
Oh, geez.
character, and, my mother was a Neil Diamond kind of girl. So Deicide really didn't fit into those two genres too much.
Not quite the singer-songwriter, no. What
Yeah, so like I say, yeah, it took a while for them to appreciate the fact, but I'm sure they were proud of me in some twisted way.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously you had influences growing up or listened to music growing up, which obviously was not the Gordon Lightfoots or the Neil Diamonds. What are some of your favorite albums growing up? Doesn't necessarily have to be influential to your music, but just like top five favorite albums that I feel like
Oh man,
music like
I,
hits us differently than it does later in life. So those ones.
yeah. For me, I think it was, I would go over to relatives' houses for family get-togethers and that, and they would always have a turntable and a pile of records. And my aunt, she was into the 45. She was into all of that early rock and roll stuff and that. And I think I think it all started with either a Little Richard 45 or a Chuck Berry 45. And I was like, I think it was either Tutti Frutti or Keep on a Knockin', one of those. But I was like, I listened to that thing till I was like, I knew the lyrics back, forth, upside down. And I got into the Beatles and the Stones and the Who and, all that early stuff and that. I mean, I remember, like wearing out. The old man had the Beatles Rubber Soul album. I wish I had it today because it's probably worth $1,000. But I would listen to that thing just daily, And then the Stones, I listened to a lot of the Stones and that growing up, and a lot of that British rock and that. But yeah, I was really like into like Elvis and the Chuck Berry and any of them old guys like God, who I'm losing thought here and the piano guy there,
Billy,
Jesus Christ.
or Little Richard,
Jerry Lee Lewis and all
or
that
Jerry,
kind of stuff, like that early rock stuff and that. Really, like I was really, I think, attracted by the simplicity of it. That you can write something so simple and get so much, out of it. And that kind of appealed to me, and that's kind of like why I like to write the songs that I write are more, I like that hook driven stuff where it's got that hook and that catchiness to it. I tell the guys in the band all the time that simplicity is the key to rock and roll. So it's like what you might think is simple, what to another person listening to it, it's technical,
Yeah.
So, but
No,
that's what
sure.
catches. That's what's appealing is that simplistic, groove. That's I've always told and stress is like you can't headbang to technical metal. I mean, technical metal, it's like it just shifts so fast.
Often. Yeah.
It's like no place where you can actually grab a hold of a riff and just like start headbanging and slamming into each other. So it was like I always stress that because that's really where I came from is that hook, those songs that have hooks in them.
Right. That makes sense. My phone, for whatever reason, thought that we were asking it to play Little Richard, so it just started playing Little Richard out of nowhere. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, with the more progressive technical music,
I was into all that stuff. Like I say, I started playing rhythm guitar first and that. So I was like I say, I listened to Hendrix and I mean, obviously Maiden and Black Sabbath and all the heavy stuff. I mean, all of that stuff. I mean, as a kid, I couldn't get enough. I was standing in line waiting for tickets and just being, going to mom and pop record shops and digging up the most obsolete shit that just no one would like but me.
Yes.
That was so. And I worked at a record shop. I worked at a Camelot Music briefly, and the store manager knew I was metalhead and that. So all the metal promotional stuff that came through the door went home with me that night. And I got exposed to a lot of stuff back then, listening, at that,
That's
but
so
yeah.
cool. I miss that. I used to do the same thing. Well, it was cassette tapes and CDs by the time I had gotten to the age of choosing my own. And I would go like through thank yous of bands that I already liked and see they would always thank other bands and stuff. And then the cover was so important, like being able to have that connection with the cover was what sold me. And then I would just cross my fingers and hope that I liked the music because it was bands that I didn't know,
Right.
And most of them ended up being good. Not all of them, though.
No, there's been some. I get my stones busted all the time about my covers and that, but it's not about other people's likes. It's about my likes. I don't do this for everybody else's, thumbs up. So I do it for my own thumbs up and what I like. And like I say, the new album, everybody's all freaking out about the AI. Well, it's like we live in that age now. So it's like, I'm sorry, I'm bringing up the conversation. It's making people talk. And that's what the artwork's about. That's what it's about. It's about to make people talk and get people talking. And that's what it did. And it's like, love it or hate it, just talking about it. So I did what I'm supposed to do, so bad press is good press is bad press. It's all, it's all the same to me,
Right. People know that you got new music coming out regardless. The artwork is actually really awesome. I really dig the imagery on the front of the album. I obviously haven't seen further inside. If you guys do have more artwork in
Well,
there.
the artist that his name's Nanny D. Dovik. He lives in Switzerland. He lives in the same village. He's from the same village as H.R. Geiger. He's an accomplished artist himself, and he's the guy that creates all the jewelry for the band, and he does, he's worked with a lot of other bands now too. And that the guy is, like I say, he's an incredible talent. So to talk shit about his, say, oh well, you know what, he used, because that's my face on the image there. If you look
Oh,
at that
is
image,
it?
that's actually my face.
Oh
Not many
my
people.
gosh.
So it's like that was incorporated into the artwork, was my face. And
Oh.
so, yeah, we did use AI on a lot of that stuff. So what? But I'm not supposed to experiment, and I'm not allowed to reach out in my creativity because some kid in some far off, a basement, living on mom's couch has got a problem with it. I just can't operate like that. I can't take other people's thoughts and wishes into consideration when it comes to my art. So, like I say, it was meant to stir the hornet's nest. It stirred an hornet's nest. I love it. So, as I say, I love getting a reaction out of people. I love poking people with a stick. I dig it. I've been poking people with that poop stick since I was a kid.
I was gonna say it's definitely something you're known for. It's not like I don't think
I love it.
anybody's shocked at this
I was
point.
I was that kid, and I'm not lying. I was that kid. We'd all be playing outside. There'd be a pile of dog shit. I would poke the stick in the dog shit, and I would start chasing you, screaming, "I'm the poop stick man!" And yeah, that's how I got my kicks as a kid. I still do it today.
Quite literally, then you're not even
I
talking
do it. I love
metaphorically.
it. I would still do it today if we were all outside, and I'd still do it. That's the kid never left me. So
If I ever do end up meeting you face to face, I'm going to be very conscientious
make sure it's
about
in a
my
parking lot.
surroundings.
Make sure it's in the middle of a parking lot. Yeah.
No dogs around.
No sticks and dogs.
Something I feel like is a really important question to ask musicians because it can be a very hectic lifestyle, especially when you've been doing it as long as you have. What are some things you do for self-care to help with the balance, especially when you're on tour and you got stuff going on back home? Like there's all that, heaviness that not a lot of people recognize or realize that sometimes you guys go through. So what are some things you do for self-care?
I used to really let this shit stress me out. Now I don't. My kids are grown, they're out, they're in the world now and that. So I'm not dad anymore. I'm still dad, but like, part-time, I only get calls when they want to, try to harass me and try to, shock me because they're just like me. They're a couple poop stick carriers themselves too. So they like to poke me with the stick every once in a while to see if I'm alive.
Your family reunion supposed to be a hoot.
Oh yeah, it's a hilarious moment. I road bike a lot. Like I say, I partake in the art of vaping weed and doing all that stuff. I mean, I'm constantly moving. I'm a very hyperactive individual. I was diagnosed with that stuff when I was a kid, so I'm like everybody's trying to figure out what the hell was wrong with me. I'm just hyperactive yeah, I do, like I say, I road bike, mountain bike, do that kind of stuff. And just try to say I try to eat better now. I don't, do anything really too much stupid. I don't drink much. I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. Just what everybody else does, I guess, just exist,
Yeah.
Just try to get through it. When you go on tour, it's like it used to be, for me, I used to, when this was more of a job, I really didn't enjoy it as much. Now that I don't have anything to worry about back home or give a shit about anything, I mean, the kids are handling it. Everybody can do their own thing now. And I ain't got to worry about, any responsibility or anything like. So I'm like a big goofy kid now, I rediscovered my childlike ways and sat there for a few years there, trying to figure things out and that. And now I just kind of just came to that. I was telling somebody yesterday, it's like that not giving a fuck is what's keeping me alive. I just find I get for so many years of my life, it's like I've been so chasing after this whole thing and worrying about everybody else's happiness and chasing after everybody else's hopes and dreams and keeping everybody else's, I just kind of like one day I woke up, I'm like, you know what? I don't care if this shit fucking burns down tomorrow. I just don't give a fuck anymore. I don't care about anything anymore. Kids
Which
call
is
me up, hey dad, I don't give a fuck. That guy don't exist anymore. Sorry. I just don't give a fuck. I mean, it's just I can't help it. You just get to an age. I think it was probably because I'm gonna be 57 next month. So I think it was when I got to be like 55, 54, 55. I was just like, I woke up one day and I'm like, I fucking hate everything. I hate all of you. I hate fuck off. I think fuck everything, you know? So that's how, and it's like made life a whole lot nicer because now whenever there's a fucking problem, I'm the first one to say, I don't give a fuck, you know? I mean, fucking let it. So we're trapped on the side of the highway. Okay, well, eventually we'll get out of here. And till then, I'm going to hit my vaporizer and continue not giving a fuck. And that's just how I am with everything now. I just don't give a fuck. Oh, your dog got ran over by a car? I don't give a fuck. You know? Your kid fell out of the tree? I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? I just, your Aunt Margaret posted a fucking picture of her famous potato salad on fucking Instagram. I don't give a fuck. You know?
You're not asking for the recipe then?
Life, I'm telling you, people really need to learn to not give a fuck because the world would be a whole lot nicer and a less stressful place if everybody just kept their opinions to themselves, not gave a fuck, and just, you know, let everybody live and let live, you know? And that's why I try to keep, you know, I think if the older you get, the more you just don't want to be fucking bothered with other people's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, has got to be so freeing. And just keep you out of your head and everybody else's.
Yeah, you know what? It's hard to operate in this world where you're always worried about everybody else's strife and misery, and it's really hard to really just, you know, to keep moving on in this world. That's why I can see how so many people have so many, you know, debilitating mental issues in this day and age because the world's a really fucked up place to be in right now. That's why I you know, when the whole isolating thing for COVID and all that shit came about, I go, finally.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like
that was the introvert's dream. Like all the introverts
I was like, finally, the world is my oyster.
Yes.
It's like, really? We don't have to talk to each other or get close anymore? Well, count me in.
Outside of concerts, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like so relieving.
Yeah, I was like, go to the supermarket and you got to stand 12 feet away from me in the produce section? Hell yeah.
All right.
I don't want to smell you.
I'm actually a therapist outside of, I do this just for fun, but it's been really interesting, the shift since all the isolation. It's like people are having a really hard time shifting back. It's this really weird, it's something that I don't, you know, we don't talk about, but it's been a collective trauma that people are having a hard time bouncing back from.
Yeah, I was just saying, I wish I could sue the federal government. I really wish I could, for making me have to take that shot. Them shots, you know, like a lot of people, them shots caused me some, you know, some health issues myself, and that I was suffering vertigo and you know, dizziness upon standing and all that kind of shit, and having like these moments of vertigo where it's like knocked me out for a complete day, you know, because of it. And it's finally gone away now, you know, I'm not experiencing that anymore. But I really, you know what, just like everybody else, I'm guilty of jumping through the hoops, you know, believing all the bullshit. And I just wanted to keep working. That's why I got my shots. I didn't want to be put out of work in that. And just in case something came up where I wanted to be ready. And everybody in the band was, you know, everybody went through all that shit. I just know people that still don't have their sense of smell back and their taste. And that's caused a lot of stuff for people in that. But I won't, the next time you fool me once, shame on you. So that old adage will apply next time. I won't buy your bullshit next time. I'll just, you know, stand in front of Walmart welcoming you and taking your grocery cart from you and spend the rest of my days doing that instead of chasing this dream.
Well, you've been doing it for a long time. I don't foresee you slowing down anytime, regardless of the situation.
I hope not.
People don't want you to.
That whole COVID thing, really, we were ready to leave 2 days. We were getting ready to get on a plane and fly to South America. I told Steve, I was like, they're showing people like laying in the streets of Wuhan and shit. I'm like, I don't think we're going anywhere, dude.
Yeah.
And you know, and if we do, we're ending up getting trapped somewhere. So
Yeah.
when they shut the airports down, it was like a day right before we were supposed to leave, and I'm like, man, that,
Mhm.
talk about timing. So
Yeah. Thank
at that
goodness.
point, it was like, what do we do? What do we do now? Okay, well, let's relearn the Legion album and start writing songs and just, you know,
Yeah.
just try to do what everybody else is doing and just get through it, man. It was horrible. It was like one
Yeah.
bullshit moment after another bullshit moment after another bullshit moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt bullshitted blind after that. I mean, you couldn't feed me another bullshit shit sandwich. I wouldn't. Yeah. So looks like everybody else, you know, I was just, and I let it affect me mentally? Nah, not really. I was already, like I say, I was already, you know, I'm already an isolated, you know, person myself. So it didn't really affect me too much. I mean, it pissed me off where I couldn't go to the supermarket and get stuff like everybody else, you know what I mean? And I will say, like, the first time I went out and ate at a restaurant after, you know, like the 2 months or whatever it was of being isolated. Yeah, it was an experience there to go to a restaurant and everybody's masked up. It really killed a person's appetite, you know. And but I, just like everybody else, I was not going to let this, you know, destroy me mentally. So I just kept on pretending like it wasn't happening, and you know, so I flew out to Vegas, had to wear the mask the whole time. That sucked. And got out to Vegas. I just kept on going, man.
Yeah.
I didn't let it stop me, you know, because with all the shit that I've been married and divorced twice. COVID, that's not.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yes.
I take my chances in front of a family law judge, and yeah.
Well, don't chase your wives with shit sticks and maybe not. Oh no, for sure. That's a whole other form of trauma.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, you get through, like I say, I've been through, like I say, being a recording artist and touring all these years, and I've seen everything and anything, so nothing surprises me, and nothing really, like I say, it's right there. You know, I just don't give a fuck. You know, you know, let the chips fall where they may. Is the way I just look at things now. Like I say, I spent too much of my life worrying about. I think it's like a little bit of that Chuck Norris mentality. You know, it's like you can't really, you know, it's like if you worry about something, it's like things always work out. Everything
yeah,
always works out.
yeah,
And to sit there and waste your life and your emotions and your feelings and your stress on your body and everything, and raising your cortisol levels and everything, worrying about shit that's completely out of your control. It's funny, my attorney, who's no longer with us and that now and that, but you know, Kev came to me years ago when I was going through my second divorce, and he said something to me. It made a lot of sense at the time, and it was like, there's just some things in this world you can't control, and that made a lot of sense to me at the time. And then later on, when he was going through a divorce, he came to me and I used those same words on him. He goes, dude, I go, and he didn't remember telling me that. And I was like, yeah, man. And it's like, he utilized that too. That's a very powerful thing, you know?
it really is. And like you said, you somehow always get through it. And the more that you get through those tough times, the more that when you go through another one, you go, okay,
You don't give
I
a
can,
shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You don't give a fuck. Like I say, at 55, you're like, wow, I've had so many fucked up, stressful moments in my life that I just cannot give a fuck, because if I
Right.
do, it's just all I'm doing is hurting myself. You know, when you get to an age when you get, you know, you older and that, where it's like all that stressing and straining over shit that's out of your control, it's damaging to your health. And
Yeah.
to so it's like and I noticed this, you know, it's like you know, older people when I was growing up, my relatives and that, is like, wow, man, they really got a cool attitude. That whole I don't give a fuck. How the hell do you get that? It takes a lot of kicking the balls, man. You know, you can really get that after being stomped on, and your heart stomped on and your brain stomped on. And it's like you just kind of reach a point where it's like, I just don't care, man. Whatever happens, I just don't care. It'll all work itself out at the end of the day. And worrying about it and stressing about it is just damaging myself. So I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why
Smart.
I don't, like I say, when I don't read, like I say, people, I appreciate all the kind words everybody says about the new record and that, but to sit down and let somebody, just some 13-year-old, try to bring me down in life with their negative comments, it's just, I just don't give a shit care about that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I monitor the social media pages And and it's real simple. They're called my social media pages, not your social media pages. So if you think you're going to come to my social media page and treat it like you're standing around the office water cooler talking shit about everybody, that's not going to happen at my on my pages. And I'll block you and delete you. I don't care what you like. I don't care what your likes, your dislikes are. I don't give a shit about anything. If you come there and you say something positive, you're more than welcome to stay. If you come and you talk shit, you say something negative or say something negative to one of the other people on the pages, you're immediately blocked and deleted. I don't tolerate that. Your opinion is worthless. When it's in a negative, if it's in a negative manner, your opinion is meaningless to me. So like I say, I just don't tolerate it. It sets, a lot of people like, oh, well, you should let everybody, what? No, man, it's not about that, because what you want to do is bring your miserable shit to my happy place.
Yeah.
So keep your miserable shit in your miserable place and leave my place happy and for a safe place for people to be able to enjoy what we do and not have to be picked on because you have a miserable life.
Yeah. Completely agree. Completely agree. One more question.
More people need to adapt this kind of thinking, and that, because it could really like put things back to like 1985 again, where the world isn't such a screwed up place. It's like it's okay to have an opinion, but keep it amongst yourself and your friends. And that, why do we all have to know that you don't like frosting on a Pop-Tart? Who gives a shit?
Right. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that negativity is so draining and it's so exhausting, and we have enough stressful things in life in general without having other people add to it with whatever.
Yeah.
One more quick question. Have you had I'm sure you have, you've been doing this for a long time, a full circle moment of where, like, when you began, you obviously, I'm sure, didn't realize that you were going to get to where you are. Have you had a moment of where you're like, holy crap, young me would have loved to know that this is where I was going to be, or would have loved to have known that this is the experience I was going to have? Does that question make sense? I said it kind of weird.
When I go, you mean like when I had like a moment when I realized what this is, that this has been accomplished and all that kind of,
Yeah.
is that what you're saying? I had those moments. I'm still having those moments, you still have those moments. I recently did an interview for the Grammys Recording Academy, and that I've never spoke to those people in all my 38 years of doing this. They've never spoke to me. I was like really scratching my head going, wow, maybe the record is better than I thought it was when we're doing interviews for people like that now. And that was really, like I say, I was honored that they even wanted to speak to me, So like I say, you find yourself in situations like, wow, I can't believe that. Or like when somebody famous is like, you find out they're a fan of the band, and now you're like, oh, wow, man. He's like, really, those are the moments like, wow, man. It's like, I guess I am, I guess I have, made it there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, the album's incredible. Congratulations on another incredible release. I hope that you continue to get some really amazing feedback, and I really appreciate you taking this time out for me.
So I appreciate you letting me do the interview.
Awesome. Have a good rest of your day.
Take care, Anita. Bye-bye.